Hello again everyone, I hope you are well. Today I am making a video on a cryptocurrency that I will be monitoring during the correction that we are currently having. I will also give you the price targets that we could have on DAO, which is the cryptocurrency that I will be analyzing today, which seems interesting to me in an AI narrative that should resume soon, and see the small purchase zones that we could focus on with a view to a correction to find interesting purchase prices and also resale and profit-taking targets. Why did I choose DAO? Firstly, because the AI narrative, artificial intelligence, interests me enormously. It is the narrative that has performed the best in 2024. So maybe with the same coins, it must be hitting with the same coins, we will try to look at all that. But the AI narrative, until March, I think it was one of the most bullish narratives. Yes, here, you see, in March 2024, the AI narrative was first. It's this narrative here in green that even exceeded the same corners. Then, there was a big retracement, a big correction, and the DAO token was precisely the token that launched this narrative a little bit. For me, it was one of the biggest coins that is AI and that performed very well precisely during this AI phase. So I would be surprised if it didn't work again, because we are on an asset that performed while the market was a little bit at a standstill. So I can't even imagine with lots of people who are going to be interested in the market, in the middle of a bull run, everyone who will want AI tokens. But in fact, DAO is a little bit of an index for me, AI tokens are like the boss. A bit like Nvidia on the stock market, for me, DAO, Render, etc. are the bosses of the AI narrative. So there is no chance, there is very little probability, that DAO will not perform if there is hype in AI, on the AI narrative. And so, here, we have an area for me that is more or less interesting. We will try to see the areas that will be interesting in the event of a correction. Also, what is interesting with the token is that we have a tokenomics that is modeled on Bitcoin, for those who do not know. Basically, there will be a maximum of 21 million DAO, and we follow the same tokenomics as Bitcoin, with halvings, etc. So that is positive. Also, we estimate that there are between 80 and 90% of the tokens that are stacked, so they cannot be sold now, which means that when demand comes back, people will fight to have DAO, because most of the tokens are stacked and people do not sell them. The guards, which means that there will be few DAO for everyone and that is what can increase the prices. The rarer an asset is, the more it can increase in value. And also in terms of capitalization on DAO, we are really not very high. We are on a market cap that is around 3.9 billion here. For me, it is clearly an asset that can reach a large capitalization. For all these reasons, I still think that DAO has its place in a portfolio. Also, what I forgot to say and I was thinking about it but I am trying to find, Grayscale launched a product on DAO. That is to say that DAO can be bought in an institutional environment on the Grayscale side because in fact, they launched a trust on DAO. They launched one on Sway, here, and Sway exploded. And they launched one this summer on DAO. So that indicates that there is demand, or in any case that Grayscale takes DAO seriously. So I'll try to find you Grayscale DAO Trust. I'll find it quickly, right here it is. Grayscale launched new crypto investment trust for Sway and DAO. So that's pretty big, and there's Sway's trust here. So, I can't find DAO's. They also launched a decentralized AI fund. So, there is really demand around AI in crypto. That's what you have to understand. There is institutional demand. So, for now, there is not a lot of money coming in yet. But I think that when the hype comes back, it could really come back very strongly. That makes it an extremely interesting token for me. Okay, also, if we do a little past analysis, we can see that the price came into bear market during this bearish phase, in the reloading zone quietly, and which again gave us our reversal structure. I teach you this in the free training. He gave the signal right here, at the break of this level. So, we already have an interesting level, if ever we have a correction on the market. The $365 on DAO are very interesting, because it also corresponds to an imbalance here, which we are already working on. So this imbalance from 460 to 330, it is extremely interesting. We have already returned to it, we go to daily and we see that we have made another bullish wave and that we have again created what we call imbalance here, which has been perfectly filled and which is being worked on. So also, this zone is very interesting, from $480 to $440. To give you a big, very wide area, from a TAO, between 330 and 500, that's really a good price. Is that a good price? Now, if we want to combine more reloading areas in reloading areas, we could see that eventually, so I don't think it will go that low, but in the event of a correction, coming to get the 61.8 around $360, that's not impossible. That would allow us to come and take the stops of those lower down, to panic a lot of people so that big fish can buy back here eventually. Now, outside of this reloading area, personally, what interests me is also the reloading area of this movement. And we see once again, what's happening. It's still being bought back. For me, these are signals, evidence that this market is accumulating. There are big guys, no matter what happens, who are buying, who are buying, who are buying. You see here, reloading zone, we come in, it is bought back immediately, it rebounds. So if there is a correction on the market, for example because of the derivative contracts, then we can look on Dow if we have open interest that is high enough, high fundings. So there, for example, we see that we have fundings that are high. That could possibly justify a correction on Dow, just to freak out a little. We see that there, fundings have been on average at 0.05 for several days. It must be teeming with liquidation below its lows. But it is to say to ourselves that if we come there, it is an exceptional opportunity to buy around $360 to $400. That is what we must understand. And for me, it will be the dip, in fact, before a rise in prices. And I will give you a little bit of my objectives now. So, to summarize, I'm focusing on this reload zone, between 480 and 440. And if there is ever a deep correction in the market, because Bitcoin can possibly correct, we'll see in the next few days, if we're starting a correction, we're going to see Bitcoin probably reject here and go correct lower. If Bitcoin does that, eventually, Dow could, yes, go and find, I think, this stop zone below 450, which would be an interesting buy zone. And the next interesting buy zone will be below $402, between $360 and $402. So there, by refining a little, we quickly see that putting a small buy limit here at $449 is a good price. Putting a second one at $300, at $399, at $401 is a good price. And also, we'll put a 360, it's a good price. So that would make a 15% correction. That's only if Bitcoin corrects, it may not correct. Second, 25% drop and third up to 30%. So in itself it's realistic if Bitcoin corrects 10 to 15%, usually on altcoins it's doubled, well it could happen eventually. Now, also what we have to focus on is, let's imagine, that we don't go looking for this low, that we just come on the correction looking for this low, and at that moment, we will have this. And that will make a new bullish structure. We have one here, we started a rally, we do a second one, we will have a continuation movement. And I give you the objectives of these exits, okay. Of these structures, the extensions. We have a first objective at 1.914 which has been reached, we will have a second objective at 3.14 above the TH, and we will have a final objective between 1.180 and 1.428. But that is only this small structure. I also take this structure, if it is realized, it gives us also maximum objectives at 1.530 and 1.800. I also give you, if ever we have a big structure which forms like that, bam. At that time, we will start on possibly higher objectives. And there, we see that we have a first objective at $1,150, so it hits this objective and this objective around $1,100 to $1,180. So, we will note, but from a mathematical point of view, given the structure that will form, Dow, already, from a mathematical point of view, once again, can end up around $1,180. Secondly, we have a confluence, here, in the same place, at $1,800. So the same, I clone and I note the $1,800. What you have to understand is that we will be on market caps that will not remain super high. Then, we will also clone, and there it is really a big extension zone between $2,800 or so and $3,400. So we will note here $2,800. So will Dow go to $2,800? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. But for me, these are not unrealistic goals, because Dow at $2,800 is a market cap of about, let me calculate all that, so we do 2,800 times the circulating supply, we will round it up to 7,500,000, since by then there may have been a little inflation. That gives a market cap of 21 billion. For you, the number one in AI, or at least one of the number one in AI, would it be abusive to have it at a market cap of 21 billion? Personally, I don't think so. Now I'm not saying that it will happen, but frankly it wouldn't surprise me. Then, there would really be much more important goals, anyway the goal is to take profits on the rise. I think we are in a big accumulation zone, again, and that the levels that I give you, 440, 402, 360, if we read it well, these are exceptional opportunities. I think that at some point, there, it will take off, and when it takes off, it will take off quite strongly. Because in fact, if you like, for me, we are in the same consolidation that we had here. And then, it is a big bullish explosion, I think we have the same thing, in fact, but bigger, now, like that. And that then, when it will explode, it will also take off quite strongly. And so, to come back to that, hop, 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 if we ever consider this as a bullish structure, then wait, before I give you the extension objectives here, so it would be between here, 1230 and 1500, so another level around 1200, so 1180, 1200, really, it really seems like a realistic objective, so frankly it's more than a times 2 at the current price and almost a times 3, if it ever comes around $400 to $360 in the event of a correction, which for me would be an exceptional opportunity. And I also give you, if we ever go into something completely stupid, to consider this as a bullish structure, because it will be the case. In this way, I show you, like this. And at that time, the extension objectives, be ready. First objective, 1400, so that corresponds to all the objectives that we have seen here. Second fairly high target, $2,300. Last target in case of a big mega bull run, $3,700, $4,500. We will calculate the market cap, so we will take an average around $3,700 x 7,500,000 tokens. That would give a market cap of around 27.7 billion. Frankly, it wouldn't surprise me. When I see my colleague yesterday reminded me that EOS, a coin that is dead today, reached 18 billion market cap in 2018, I tell myself that projects like DAO can reach higher market caps, especially since the market is more capitalized now. And here, we would be at 4,560. So, I'm not saying that we're going to 4,560. I'm not saying that we're going to 3,600. I'm not even saying that we're going to 1,200. These are just extension targets to take profits if it goes into a bullish stability. Because then, it will be stupid. In itself, DAO does not deserve to be worth 34 billion. It's not a strong enough business model to be worth 34 billion. But in bull run, we have excesses. Unfortunately, there are investors who enter on these excesses. And that's what forms bubbles. And generally, people buy these bubbles. For example, there are projects that I didn't find great at the time. I'm thinking in particular of AXS, which reached a huge market cap. I could take any project, but I was talking about it yesterday with my colleague. There you go, it reached 10 billion. So it's possible that its values will explode. But there you go, it was on a hype at one point around gaming, the metaverse. They managed to surf this hype. They went up to 9 billion market cap. It was one corner among many others. But here, we're still talking about the top one in AI for me at this time. I'm not talking fundamentally, I'm really talking about who proved in 2024 that it was the number one. And I think it will prove it again. So for me, it's likely to perform. And there you go, it will be between 27 and 34 billion. Well, I'm not telling you that we're going to seek these objectives, obviously, but in my humble opinion, it may not be too stupid to put in sell orders and say, well, on a misunderstanding, maybe it could go up in these areas and take profits if we ever get there, in any case to buy on Tupelin. I'm telling you, DAO, when it breaks the TH, it's likely to take off very strongly and it will be too late. DAO, it's really now that it's accumulating, that it's still full, that it's now that we're interested in it. It's not when it's going to go vertical. So if you come across this video in 6 months with the thing that is said to be vertical, it will be late. And also, I wanted to clarify, I will stop here for today, think about seasonality. Altcoins, the top, it is often between March and May, or even June. So there, I invite you to put on your charts a little reminder, a small zone. There, you say, okay, March, June, if it is already high, well, it may be worth selling because we will probably be close to the top. So as much as it will be at 1500, as much as it will be at 2000, as much as it will be at 3000, at 4000, we can't know. But there you go, for me it would make sense to say between March and May, I take my profits, I secure well and I recover a lot of cash because then it risks crashing, since the bull run does not last 3 ages, it is generally 3 to 6 months. So you'll have to be careful with that, okay? So I hope you liked it, that it will help some people. If that's the case, don't hesitate to bombard the blue thumbs. Also I will make other videos like that during the correction of assets that I find interesting to position yourself on. So don't hesitate to bombard the blue thumbs to show that this is content that interests you.